I'm sorry, but like, if danger ever comes into my life, I hope like the song "Danger." What you like? I hope that
Imagine
like
it's like a video game and you're walking and then you start hearing the beat and you're like, uh-oh.
oh shit, it's
What?
coming. It's coming, you guys.
It's like see, I don't know. And then
Been
it's like I
so
feel like
long.
we're gonna be playing more interesting video games when you get your gaming setup done.
Oh, I'm so
And I'm
excited for
like,
that.
we both panic when stuff
Oh
happens.
man, so bad. We're gonna just keep dying, but it's okay. It's okay.
We're just like, oh no, it's the music. Something's coming. Go back.
Hopefully, we'll have Carlos or one of my brothers playing with us so they can carry us as we go.
I'm pretty sure they're not gonna always all be available.
We'll try our best for ourselves, and then
we should try streaming. See how that goes.
oh my god, just have them watch me get stuck on a wall for 30 minutes.
Yeah, because you were talking about that game. What was it, Phantasmophobia?
Yeah.
And I watched some people play it one day, and I was like, oh, this does look kind of fun, but I can 100% see us freaking out.
Oof, girl.
Because sometimes like the ghosts be like crawling around in there, and you could die.
Like, that's the worst though. Like, in reality, if I wake up and I see something crawling at me, I'm gonna run. I'm be scared.
The worst part though is that like we're supposed to be like ghost hunters, so like we signed up for that. I think you lose money when you die.
I don't remember. I know. Oh, it's funny because I've seen like one time Carlos died, and it's just like all foggy and just like you're like in this like weird realm and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, that sucks. Like, if you really die and then you're stuck in the same room and it's just foggy and dark, I'd be real pissed. Cause like, what the fuck? I'd be so
maybe
mad.
maybe it also depends on what kills you. Because when I was watching some people play for like, I don't know, I watched just like an hour or something in the video. Somebody died and then their body was just limped over like until they finished. And I see another one where the girl, she died and then she was in the room, but she just couldn't move.
I don't remember if Carlos can. I just remember it was like foggy and stuff like that, and it wasn't a good time. And like, I don't know, my computer was slow as shit, so I kept getting stuck, and I'm just stuck on the floor, like staring at walls. Like, no, my brothers did me dirty because I guess he could hold onto the doors, and I was trying to get out, and the door wouldn't open, and they're like, the ghost is in there. The ghost is like, get me out.
I don't know if I want to play with them.
They're fucking assholes, I swear.
Because knowing me, I'll just be like, well, I'm dying, and I'll just stand there.
Well, I'm dying. Wow. I'll be like,
I'll just stand there like, this is the end. Notice that we play with your brothers, stay by the doors.
Stay by the doors.
It's gonna be like one time me and my camp friends did an escape room. And one of my friends, like, because it was pretty much 2 rooms, and then it was like a bathroom that we got through. And every time we went to a room, she stayed by the door just in case.
But what if they come in through the door?
Girl, there wasn't. Luckily, I don't know how we would do if it was one of those ones that has actors doing stuff.
Oh,
because it was scary enough that there was like sound effects, and then the door was shaking, and we were like, "Whoa, what's in there?" I thought for a second, I was like, "Dang, did I not read the info right? Is there an actor in here?" Like, because it was asylum themed too. So it would have been real rough for a second.
Girl, I was like, ah!
Hey, we made it out though. We were able to escape the escape room.
Hey, nice. No, I don't know. I think that's one of my biggest fears for escape rooms. It's just that I feel like people are going to pop out and like,
Yeah, well, that's the good thing about it is if you didn't sign up for one where people pop out, they should not pop out.
Yeah.
But then you also don't be reading the info. You be like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Let's
go. Yeah.
So you won't know. And even if we tell you, I feel like you low-key won't believe us. I'm like, girl, I read the info. Ain't nobody coming. You like, I don't know.
That sounds kind of suspicious to me. I don't know. No, I don't ever be believing anything anymore until I go through it and nothing happens. Like, all right, thanks, man. But until the end, nah. Because, sometimes there could be mix-ups. Like, maybe no one was supposed to pop out, but, Richie didn't read the shit right, so he went to the wrong room, and I'm in that room, and he pops up, I'm like, ah! And then I'm just like, I'm done. I'm dead. I'm deceased. Like, I'm in the hospital right now, so I don't know. I don't know.
Mm-mm. But then it's like, you're not really locked in, so... If it was really that serious, you could just leave.
I've seen enough horror movies where kids just go somewhere scary to have a good time, and then they end up murdered.
See, that would have been a better story than that movie, because they have that movie Escape Room or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The storyline is like weird. That would have been a better story. That it was like a horror movie where they went to an escape room and they're like, like, we're gonna have a good time. Like, let's see if we can make it out, blah, blah, blah. And then they find out if they don't make it out, they die. Yeah. And if they're really locked in, that would have been a better movie premise.
But then, some people get really freaked out and I feel like shit's gonna go wrong.
Yeah, that's,
And then you're like,
movie. Not everybody's gonna make it. Because even in the one that came out, the escape room movie that came out, it ended up just being... It was 2 people, but it was only supposed to be one. Only one of them was supposed to make it to the end.
Oh.
So, and then the smartest person there figured out how to make it seem like they were dead, and then they popped up.
See, I'm not that smartest person there, so... I don't know where I would end up.
But, I don't know. Have you seen that movie, Escape Room?
No, but it sounded like Saw.
Kind of. Like, but they were together, all together, like, but then they were kind of partially catered to them too, so.
Partially catered? What do you mean?
Yeah, like there were things and stuff in the rooms that
specifically
had
for
personal
them. Okay,
connections, yeah. But it's funny. I thought it was hilarious because back when, like, the escape rooms were, like, first, like, coming out and being big, I had a coworker and him and his girlfriend was going, like, every week, all the time, doing these rooms. And in the movie, of course, one of the first people to die was the guy that did, like, over 100 escape rooms or whatever. Oh, the pro or whatever. He died early on. And I'm like, well, you being a pro at doing this does not help.
Ouch. Probably hurt his pride, but he's dead. Oh well. Sheesh. That's crazy. Hey guys, welcome back to Item 9 Podcast. This is Hyra.
And Kim.
Really, Kim? You gonna say it like that? Kim.
What? What, you can't hear me? That's how I said the first time.
It was just like, Kim.
I said, and Kim.
Oh, I missed that part. I did not hear it.
See?
Sorry. Hope you guys are having a good Friday. Sorry you guys have missed us these past few weeks, but we're back and we're ready to get this story started. You ready, Kim?
Yep.
All right. So, my turn. So, question. Have you ever heard of the Pascagoula alien abductions?
Maybe.
I hope not, girl. Because I didn't.
I don't know. Because the issue is, like, we be just, like, skimming stuff and reading stuff and watching videos. So it's like, I've seen several things about alien abductions and I get them all mixed up. So I have to hear the specifics to know if I know about this one or not. Yeah.
Girl, I have never heard of this alien abduction before. But it was so big. It happened in 1973, I believe. Yeah, 1973. Not that long ago. And I can't believe I've never heard of it. It was fucking crazy. You ready for the story?
Yes.
All right, Kim. Well, buckle up and get ready to get abducted in Pascagoula, Mississippi.
Moving toward the Earth's enormous velocity.
Hyra
and Kim.
Knowledge far in advance of our own.
That's a smart thing.
Contact is established. We now transmit you direct. Item 9.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is terrific.
Dang, 1973.
1973. All right. Calvin Parker was a 19-year-old, kid. He grew up in Jones County, Mississippi, and he ended up moving to another small town somewhere, and he ended up falling in love. 19, having big dreams, wants to start that family, all that stuff, right? But he needs a better job because he knows eventually he wants to have kids and he needs to be able to support them. So he remembers their family had a friend who is working in Jones County as a shipyard supervisor. And, I guess shipyard people probably pay well. So he ended up calling him up and being like, hey, Charlie. His name was Charlie Hickinson. He's like, hey, can you hook me up with a job? So, a brother came through and hooked them up with a job, right? So, Charlie Hickson, 42-year-old, working at the shipyard with him, right? One day, they decide to get off of work. And he's like, hey, you want to go fishing? Because both of them are really big, like, fishing type people. Mm-hmm. And, he's like, yeah, sure, let's go. So, on October 11th, 1973, both Charlie and Calvin go fishing. And, he pretty much, Charlie pretty much tells Calvin, listen, I know this sweet spot in the Pascagoula River. And, they don't ever shoot blanks. Like, you gonna get some fish. And come to find out, that little spot right there, I guess it was by, like, an unloading area where they would unload grains. So fish were pretty much just used to going over there and they know there's food. So that's why pretty much most of the time you'll catch fish because, where there's food, there's animals. So they go there, right? And they're driving down there. Calvin's driving in his brand new car. He had only got 2 months ago. So, he's sparring it out, right? They go to the spot and it's an abandoned shipyard. And he's looking at the spot and first of all, it's Trashville. Like, there is trash everywhere. There's like...
And they eating this fish that's living in trash?
Yeah.
It reminds me of The Simpsons when they were pouring all the toxic waste into the lake or whatever, and then the fish had 3 eyes.
Yeah. But, luckily there was no toxic waste there. It was just trash. Well, not just trash, but, there was trash. There was like fridges and stuff there. Like, I saw pictures of it and stuff like that. And there's like metal stuff in there. And you're just like, why is this in a lake or a river? I don't know. My thing is like, how does this stuff end up there? I don't know. But it happens, right?
People are dropping it off.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, take it to the spot. We don't need that no more.
the waves will carry it away. But, I don't think it's very like currenty. Like, I don't think like there's anything to pull it out. So I don't know, whatever. So they go there. It's Trashville. There's trash everywhere, and there's also a no trespassing sign on there. So Calvin's pretty much looking at Charlie like, dude, like, I don't want to get in trouble.
Where'd you take me?
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, where did you take me? Plus, I don't want to get in trouble. Like, I'm 19. I don't want to have anything on my record. I'm going to get married. I want to be an honest man and stuff like that. But, Charlie's like, listen, man, I've been here a plenty of times and I've never gotten in trouble. Plus, it's like a small town. Everyone knows each other. So it's not like a big deal, So, they go, right? They hit up the first spot. Like, in the same river, they're in one spot and they're getting nothing. So they decide to go further down. Nothing. So he's like, listen, let's get a little closer. Let's go to that pier over there. And if we don't catch anything, we'll go either to another spot or we'll go home. So the guy's like, all right. So, they go. They're getting more bait and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, they start seeing, like, this blue flashing lights. Calvin turns because he's like, oh, shit, it's the police. Like, I knew we were going to get in trouble. We shouldn't have done this, blah, 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 blah. But then they start hearing these zipping sounds. And they look up. And there is no police. What they see is a cigar-shaped spacecraft right above them. And Calvin is like, shit, what the fuck? Like, he's scared. And he's like, should I just jump off of this right now and just
swim in the trash water? And
yeah, exactly. And he thought that exact thing. And he's like, no, that does not sound like a good idea.
He's like, wait.
He pretty much said he thought that he was probably gonna die from the trash. Like, he's like, one of these things is gonna take me out.
Chances were better in the boat.
Yeah, death by fridge door. Like, come on, who wants that? Like, So he's like, nah, I'm good. All of a sudden, 3 creatures start coming out from the ship. And this is their description. They say they had like a football player stock, big guys. They had no neck, and were super wrinkly, like elephant skin, like gray elephant skin, like wrinkly and stuff like that. And they had like pointy ears and nose, and I'm just picturing it like, you know, like a snowman.
An ogre?
Huh?
An ogre?
No, actually no. They were saying that it felt to them more like robots. Like the way they moved looked very mechanical, you know? And so like they have like, you know, these carrot nose, ears, whatever. And it's weird because in some accounts I hear that they have legs. In some accounts I hear that they have no legs. But in one of them it says that they have like...
Were they floating or?
Yeah, they were floating.
Okay.
Like they floated down to them.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't remember you saying it landed, so they came.
No,
down
at first
from the
they're just
ship.
seeing, like this is what they're seeing, right?
Yeah.
And then you know, no legs, maybe legs, I don't know. They said that they looked like they had like elephant legs, and like lobster hand mittens type thing. Mixture of
Okay.
an elephant dude and a lobster claw. Like, I don't fucking know.
Because this is
Just
a
weird
wild
looking.
visual. They have no neck. 'Cause
No
you didn't
neck.
mention nothing about a neck.
Mm-mm,
They got
no
a
neck
head
aliens.
with the pointy nose and ears.
Mm-hmm.
They have a football player's stocky build,
Yes.
and then they have thick elephant legs. This is a big
It's a
thing.
big, yeah, with lobster claws. Did you mention the lobster claws?
with and lobster claws.
Yeah, so
This does sound a little robot-y.
yeah, that's what they said. That like they didn't feel like it was alive. They felt like it was like
Like it's a
me-
minion that's
me-
gonna
me-
take them to their leader.
Yeah. Yes. So, you know, they're like literally it was there, and next thing you know, they were like nope, like right there, and they're freaking out. But these robot aliens grab them both by the arm, and all of a sudden, like bam, they just feel like little like pinches, and all of a sudden they say they felt paralyzed and numb, and all they could move was their eyes. So the aliens grab them, and now they're floating up into the light.
That's the worst. I'm like, if you're gonna take me just all the way out, I don't want. you left my mind and me awake.
You know
But then
what's
paralyzed my
crazy?
body? Like,
Now that you mention it, it's funny because I think Calvin is the one who starts thinking that when he goes up into the ship, he's pretty much like, dude, just take me out all the way out. Like, just
why am I awake?
yeah.
Why am I
Like,
awake
why is
for
this
this?
happening? Yeah. So, you know, they're being floated up to the craft, right? At this point, they both come up with some, like, pretty much similar stories, you know, just little differences here and there. But let me tell you what happens to them. Let's start with Charlie. So, Charlie is in a room. He says that he is floating. Like, he says he doesn't feel like a table. But then in my head, it might be like whatever they got injected with, or because, you know, when they felt like that little stab, they pretty much think that they injected them with something. So my thing is, maybe when he was saying he was floating, he was probably like on a table. He just can't feel it because, you know, he's obviously like on some sort of
paralyzed.
yeah, you know, some sort of tranquilizer.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's saying that he's floating, and all of a sudden he sees an alien, and this alien looks different from the robots. He said that this alien was about 5 feet tall, with one leg and a foot without toes. And this is where the elephant leg comes in.
First of all, okay, my question is,
Go
if
ahead.
he's, you know, paralyzed, tranquilized, floating on something, how did he see the feet?
well,
with
they
no
can
toes.
they can still like move their eyeballs, you know what I mean? And he did say that while he's floating, they can pretty much like adjust their angle, because he said that they did like adjust his angle a few times. So maybe at one of the points where they like moved him like a certain way, he was able to like catch a
See the
full
feet.
yeah, and see that he had no toes. Elephant legs. That's what he said.
Imagine you're like, this dude don't have toes.
I don't think that's what he was thinking at first. Like, where your toes at, bro?
But then elephants don't have toes.
Yeah, that's what he said. It looked like an elephant, like an elephant leg, you know, type of thing.
Yeah.
So
So they don't have toes anyway.
true. But he said that this creature like had a nose, had ears, and had a mouth, but it didn't look human.
Mm-hmm.
But he couldn't tell if they didn't have any eyes. And it's funny to me because he's all like, they had nose, mouth, ears, but I don't know about the eyes. It didn't look human. I'm like, if it didn't have any eyes, obviously it does not look human. I don't think I've ever seen
everything that he's described did not sound human at all.
Like, I've never seen a human with a carrot nose before, so.
Or an elephant
leg human with no toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like his mind worried about the wrong stuff.
No, like, he did say that he was scared, like, while he's there, he's like, what are they gonna do to me? Like, are they gonna take us? Am I ever gonna see my family again?
The regular questions.
Yeah, the regular questions, This is the kind of stuff he's talking about, like, once... Well, let's get there. All right. So he says... So, he's floating, he's seeing this creature. And all of a sudden, this eyeball pops out from one of the freaking, walls in that room. Yeah. He says an eye-looking football-shaped thing. Like, an eye is kind of shaped like, whoop. Yeah. Anyway. So he said it comes out. And all of a sudden, it just starts, checking him out. Like, scanning him and stuff like that. And, it does a thorough body check. It's checking that ass out. Mm-hmm. Side note. This whole time he's talking about this, I don't know why I started thinking, I'm like, are alien abductions just like porn stuff for these aliens? Like, are they abducting these people?
No.
Yeah, because literally they're checking their body, like taking, like, he's hearing like click, 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 click. So like they're taking pictures of you now. Like, is this what like they do? Is this like what gets them off? Like,
he's being forced to provide them with nudes.
That's what I'm saying. The thing is, I don't know if he was nude or not, because it doesn't say if they were nude or not, but in my head...
But you know what? He doesn't even have to be nude. Like, people don't just look at nude photos.
Nope. They're like, ooh, check out that gut. Let's look at that,
I'm like, we look at people who have clothes on Instagram all the time.
That is true. Yeah, so I was just there, and I'm like... this sounds a little suspicious to me. I hope that they have like an alien police force where they're out here trying to find these aliens terrorizing these humans to get nudes or like pictures of them, Like, what the fuck?
Like, dang, y'all could just get an Instagram account. Well, not at that time.
Yeah, this is
not in 73 they could.
Maybe
it's
that's
a lot easier now, and that's why there's less abductions being reported.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
They're like, oh, we can get this stuff for free. Like, we don't even have to do all that.
We don't even gotta go down
the mind wiping and distorting, none of that. Yeah. We just make an account.
Boom. It's like, we don't have to go to these freaking trash swampy waters to go get these people. Like,
yeah.
They out
like,
here.
Of all the places they could have abducted somebody, like, they went to the
abandoned
swampy
shipyard.
A swamp is basically a junkyard with fish.
Yeah. Well, okay, first of all, it's not a swamp. It's a river. It's a Pascagoula. But, at the same time, like,
it's swampy because there's trash in there.
Yeah. Okay. Back to my story. So, once it was done, that little eyeball, like, floated right back into the wall, right? And all of a sudden, gone. The aliens disappeared. So now... poor Charlie's in there by himself, just floating around, right? Let's go to Calvin.
I'm like, did they go do the same thing to Calvin?
Similar, yeah, kind of.
You're like, and next room.
Yeah, because it's funny because Calvin... Okay, we'll talk about that one next part. Okay. So, Calvin... He claims that he felt that he was laying on a table. So that's why, for me, I feel like maybe Charlie was also... laying on a table. He just didn't feel it because, he was paralyzed.
Drugged.
Yeah. So, but, Charlie says that he did feel like he was on a table. And all of a sudden, same thing. An object came off the wall, like the size of a deck of cards. He didn't say it looked like an eyeball, but maybe he didn't take as good of a look as Charlie did. Same thing. It starts, getting them nudes, clack, 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 getting them,
Taking these photos.
He's only 19 years old, fresh meat, And all of a sudden, he sees this feminine looking alien. He's saying that she looks completely different. Like she's saying that she has like more like
feminine features.
Yeah, like feminine features, but more like dainty. Yeah, there you go. Like more like feminine, dainty, like nice curves, on the face and stuff like that. So to him, he's not sure. He doesn't know. But she did look more feminine to him, right? All of a sudden, she starts feeling him. Like, she starts like caressing, But he doesn't feel it because, he's drugged. So he doesn't really feel it. But he does mention her hands.
He sees her doing it.
Yeah, he sees her doing it. But he sees her hands. And she says. And he said that her hands look like our hands. Like, human, except that the middle and ring finger are longer. Like, longer. Okay. So he starts saying that, she's like, feeling his face and stuff like that with those long fingers. And she opens his mouth. And then she proceeds to insert those fingers in his mouth.
Into his
Yeah, into his mouth.
Stop. I don't know why it's so funny to me because it's like, is this getting awkwardly sexual?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Is he supposed to be sexually assaulted? It's not funny.
Saying.
I'm laughing because it's uncomfortable.
I know. That's why this whole time I'm all like, because I've heard, obviously we've heard of people getting probed. These people did not claim to be
Nobody
probed.
said nothing about they put two long fingers down
in their throat. Yeah, like Charlie didn't mention this. But, hold on. Like, we'll go
Maybe he
this.
Didn't want to mention it. He didn't want... He was like, I'm leaving that out.
Hold on. So, But yeah, so, she opens his mouth and she starts putting, her fingers.
Her long fingers.
Yeah, her long fingers. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, but I was reading, it goes in there.
It was these two fingers?
Yeah, those two fingers right there. Going in his throat. Tickling his uvula.
That's an awkward, like, she could have, all she'd do is switch over one finger and it'd been more comfortable.
But that was shorter, Kim. Like, you can't forget those two are the
She said I gotta use the long ones.
Yeah. Aliens gotta do what aliens gotta do,
we don't know they customs. We don't know which fingers are comfortable.
Yeah.
Just because our pointer finger is more comfortable. I don't know.
This just reminds me, like, remember in Scary Movie where it's like an older Scary Movie and fucking that guy from 2.5 Men is in there, like the rich one, and the aliens are there and he's all like our finger or like our penis and stuff like that, and he like puts it like, not ringing a bell.
I remember him being in it with Charlie Sheen, but
yeah,
I remember Scary Movie 1 and 2 the most because those are the ones that used to come on TV all the time.
Yeah. But
the other ones you'd have to kind of go out of your way to watch. So, because it's like, Scary Movie 2 was always on, like, everybody would be talking about Scary Movie 2, because that's one when they're in, like, the haunted house.
Yeah.
And then Scary Movie 1 is, like, a parody of Scream, which is funny, because Scream is a parody of all horror movies, and it's just, like,
it's a parody
rabbit hole.
On top of a parody.
Yeah.
A parody squared. But yeah, so she starts... But yeah, anyway, like, I don't know. I was thinking about that.
She put the long fingers.
In his throat. Down his throat. And, she's feeling that uvula there, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but I started thinking, like, is this bitch really Cardi B-ing him? Like, I want you to touch that little dangly thing,
Well, she's saying, I want to touch that little dangly thing in the back of your throat. She switched it. She flipped it.
But yeah. But anyway, he's saying that he's feeling her, back there on that little dangly thing. But he's feeling like she wants to come up to his, like, nasal cavity. And, he starts, like, panicking. Oh,
so she's...
Yeah, she's going up, not down.
I'm like, yeah, you guys can't see the arm movements, but
yeah.
She turned. She went a different direction than other people would have.
Yeah, she went down. Maybe she didn't know. Maybe this is like them trying to test out the anatomy. She's like,
Yeah, well, she's like, well, we went down the last time. What's up this time?
Yeah. So she's, going up. And, he starts panicking, you know what I mean? Like, it's uncomfortable, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's probably over here, like, kind of gagging and stuff like that. And she pretty much, gets up there. And all of a sudden, like, he gets a telepathic message. Like, he's looking at her mouth and it's not moving. But he pretty much hears her, like, being like, chill, bro. We mean you no harm. Pretty much. She's all like, we mean you no harm, but like, you know. So
like, can you stop doing that?
Please?
Get your fingers off my mouth.
I,
I can't get over how awkward this is.
yeah, I know.
He's in his mind, like his mouth's open. She got his usual little smush to the top part of his throat. And she's like, chill, bro. And he's like, what?
What do you mean, chill? I never had this happen to me before. First of all, he's 19 years old. He's getting married to the first person he fell in love with. Like, this man is probably still a virgin, and she deflowered him.
Yeah.
She deflowered him, you know? But anyway, so, you know how I said that they had gotten, like, an ejection, right? And that relaxed them? I think at this point when she's like, chill, bro, she, like, re-injects him and, you know, he, like, relaxes again. But this whole time, like, she fucking went up his nasal cavity and his nose started bleeding. Like, I bet that shit was not yeah.
I wonder, did the fingers grow?
I don't think they grew. It's just, like, the passage.
Or maybe I'm just not picturing them long enough.
I don't think you're picturing them thin enough. I think that's what you're not picturing. Because they could be long, but what if they're like sausage fingers? You know what I mean? Like, that will make you bleed. Those canals right there, like, they're not...
They're not coming out to nostrils.
Yeah. Yeah, so he thinks at this point that, you know, maybe when she went up his nose, she put like an implant there. And once that implant was there, that's how she was able to communicate with him telepathically. Which, first of all, where can I get one of those? Because if I could get one of those that translates languages, girl, I'm going to be so nosy. Like, I'm going to go everywhere where they speak a different language.
Girl, I definitely need it because I don't know what it is about the way I look, but little Hispanic people come up to me all the time looking at me like I'm supposed to know what they're saying, and I'm like, I'm sorry. What did you mean?
Yeah, so I'm all like, if this works, like, okay, this is for all my alien homies out there. If you are out there and you have this technology and you can make
wait, before you say before you volunteer to get abducted, photographed, and tagged, maybe you should think about that.
Okay, hold on. Let me rephrase. Before y'all take me, we need to come up with an agreement and sign this contract. But
before y'all take
me, these are my pre-requests, and if you guys could come speak to me so we could finalize a draft of my, you know. Can y'all send some of those down? So I can, but like, I don't want to hear y'all telepathically. Like, I want to be able to understand all the languages. Hook me up, please. I would like to not be photographed. I would like not to have fingers touch a dangly thing in the back of my throat and going up my nostril.
But how are they gonna put the implant in? You're basically volunteering for that part.
Listen, no.
They gotta...
We need to come up with a different... They're not gonna...
You have to do that part to get the implant.
Gotta shove it up my nostril with these two fingers. You know what? If I can at least get the smallest finger.
I'm like, can y'all just knock me all the way out? If I must be taken?
Just knock me all the way out.
I prefer not to have to witness.
Please?
You putting the fingers down my throat and up my nasal cavity. But, yeah.
Hold on. Let's get there because we're going to talk about Charlie in a little bit, and whatever they did to him, that's what I want. But hold on. Let's get there, okay? All right. The aliens are done. They had their fun. They're done. They did their experiments, everything. You know, the Eye of Sauron went back home. They good, right? So, they bring them back down. Like, they say that same thing, they're nice, relax, and these robot people gently bring them back down. Which, granted, thank you. Because imagine how traumatizing that is. Like, not only did they just, like, violate these people.
I don't know why in my mind, like, it's sunk in about them gently bringing him back, and it's like what they just tossed you out.
Yeah, exactly. That's
You
what I'm
just
saying.
hit the ground.
Yeah, like they
The
said
ground next to this river.
yeah. So they gently brought, and not only that, but they didn't put him. I don't think they put him back in the pier. I think they put him back like on solid
On the
ground. You know what I
ground.
mean?
Mhm.
Like, they don't have to like now. Okay. So they gently set them down, but don't forget these people are still paralyzed. So, Charlie said that when he came down, he was standing, but as soon as they let him go, his legs were still weak, so he fell to the ground because he still didn't have full control of his legs. Poor Calvin over here on the other side, hands stretched out like in front of him like this, just like like traumatized. Yeah, just frozen.
Oh no.
Yeah,
like a glitched out NPC, like
yeah,
stuck.
he just stuck like like that, like but so Charlie, he's been to war. He apparently was in Korea, did hand-to-hand combat with Koreans and stuff like that in the war. And when he saw Charlie, he recognized that he was in shock, and he's like, if I don't get to him now and get him out of it, he can die, because shock is a real thing. It's really bad, and people can die off shock. So he still doesn't have control of his legs yet, so he drags himself over to Calvin, and eventually he's like, Calvin, wake up, and he's like crawling over there, right? He gets there, and I guess he starts getting like movement
Mobility.
or strength on his legs. And he said he like pow pow like slaps him a few times, and Calvin finally comes and this dude is scared. He's scared. And they end up being like, dude, like, Charlie pretty much tells Calvin, we have to tell someone, but Calvin's like, no, we do not have to tell anyone. No one's got to know about this.
Because who's gonna believe? That's the hard part. Who's gonna believe?
That's exactly what he said. Who's gonna believe us? They're gonna be like, what were we drinking? What were we smoking? What were we doing? And they're like, we're not doing any of that, but who's gonna believe us? It's 1973. October, almost Halloween. Like,
oh yeah, it's looking worse.
Yeah. Well,
you in fall, and you saying something like that happened.
Yep. Yeah.
People like, oh, that's funny. Like, you working on your costume or what?
Yeah. So they end up leaving, right? They end up heading towards Calvin's car. Girl, his windows were broken out, like broken from, I'm sure, the sheer force of that cigar, egg-shaped, football shape. They in a lot of the stories. It
was basically a long round.
Yeah. Type of craft,
but it wasn't
with
a
the dome
saucer.
on top. With the dome on top.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, like a little submarine. I don't know.
yeah,
a big ass submarine. So they go, man, his windows are blown out. This dude just got this car. Not only was he just violated, but they broke his windows. 2 months old. That car is 2 months old. I'd be so pissed. I'd be so mad. So they get in the car. They try to crank the hoe. Not working. So after a while, she decides to go. So they're driving, right? And they decide to stop by one of I guess a liquor store or something like that. And they get something to drink because they're both freaked out. So, they're drinking. And all of a sudden, Charlie's like, hey, Calvin, I really think we need to tell someone. This could be a national security threat. Like, our country can be in danger right now. And around their area, they had a base. It's called the Kelser Air Force Base. So he's like, I think we should at least call them and let them know what's going on. So Calvin doesn't want to, but now when Calvin's kind of thinking about it, he's all like, we can have a disease. We can have some sort of disease. We can have some kind of radiation on us. Like, we don't know. So he agrees with him. He's like, all right, let's call the base and let them know. So, they call up the base and pretty much they say, listen, you guys, we don't deal with UFOs anymore. We're done with that. You have to call a sheriff. So he's, Charlie's trying to talk Calvin to doing it. And, Calvin now, he's on board. He's like, listen, we're going to let the law know. Let them take care of that. But I don't want anyone else to know. No media, no nothing, just the police. And that's it. So Charlie's like, all right. Charlie ends up going to a payphone, right? And they call the sheriff. And he's all like, listen, I want to tell you something, but I need you to promise not to laugh. And the sheriff from that day, he remembers, and he said that he was kind of having like an annoying day. So he's like, dude, what do you want? But he was really freaked out. He's like, listen, I need your promise not to laugh at me. And the guy's like, all right, I'm not gonna laugh. He's like, all right. So I just got picked up by a UFO. And he starts busting up laughing.
He said, wait, you
what?
You didn't tell me you was gonna say something crazy.
Yeah.
But all right.
So, the dude starts busting up laughing, right? So, he's like, you know what, Charlie, just stay there. I'm gonna call dispatcher and I'm gonna radio this in and have them come pick you guys up. So, he radios it in and is like, hey, I need y'all to go get Charlie and Calvin. Apparently they were just abducted by UFOs. So, the police and one of the officers ends up going and picking them up, right? So they go in there and they interview them, right? They interview them separately, right? Mm-hmm. And, same thing. They're saying, the same spiel pretty much. And then they put them in the room together. And the police officers pretty much told them, all right, well, we're going to go get some coffee. You guys stay right here. What they didn't know was that the police officers put a tape recording in there to record what they had to say by themselves. Mm-hmm. And pretty much in that whole thing, they're pretty much just talking about how freaked out they are, how Calvin's saying that he feels like he's going to have to go see a doctor because he feels like he's going crazy, how he's going to need some sleeping pills. He's like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to sleep. And then, Charlie, same thing. He's freaking out, but he's trying to calm Calvin down. And that's when the police officers, start to believe them, right? Everyone can tell Calvin was really, like, out of everyone, he was the most freaked out. Because what I'm telling, like, the story that I just told you right now, it's pretty much what they go by. So, Charlie didn't have anything shoved up his mouth or anything like that. Calvin did. So, I feel like out of both of them, he had, like, one of the
tougher time.
Yeah, more traumatizing experience. So, even the sheriff say when they first picked them up, he's all like, Calvin was really fidgety, looked like he was about to start crawling on walls and shit like that. Like, this dude was tripping. Like, he was really freaked out. So, they also admit to the police officers, that they had a little bit of drink, but it had nothing to do with what their story was going on. And they even tested them. Like, they did the field sobriety test on them and stuff like that. And they were fine. Like, they're like, okay, you guys did not drink enough to, like, consider you guys drunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
That night ends and the officers do believe them. And they ask them to do a polygraph test. And they both agree to do a polygraph test. But the police decided not to do Calvin's right away just because they didn't want him. Well, they didn't want to put him in more stress than he was already in. So
how much weight were they going to put on the polygraph test? Because, like, the other famous alien abduction story that was the inspiration for the movie Lights in the Sky, they had, the guy's friends take polygraph tests.
Yeah.
And I think almost all of them passed.
They all passed. Yeah.
But it still didn't help them. They still was like, dang, y'all murder him out there in the woods? And they're just like, no. He was zapped by light. So it's just like, why do they be asking them for these polygraph tests when they don't really help?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I know about that case. And I think you're right. I think one of them did fail at one point. But
I think it wasn't fail. It was like inconclusive or something weird.
Yeah.
Like,
but
he
passed again later. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like they do put some weight onto them. But I feel like, honestly, me now as a human being, I don't put a lot of weight into polygraph tests because I feel like they're not as conclusive as they can be. Like, we know there's certain ways people can say something and and the polygraph test will take it as a truth even though they lied. So I don't know, but I want to say back then they kind of did put a little more weight on them. But
because I'm like, for like, did you murder your wife? That I feel like it would have more weight in a case like that than it would be like, did you really get abducted by aliens? And it's like,
yeah, because I don't know, I want to say this, like, some of this stuff, if you believe it enough, even you start to believe it yourself. And at that point, even you can tell a polygraph test a lie and it's going to come out true because you believe it's true.
Yeah.
So, so I'm not exactly sure. Like I said, I don't really put a lot of weight on polygraph tests. I think they're cool.
Yeah.
I think they're cool.
They are interesting.
Very. But I don't know. But I do know that Charlie got it first and he passed. But okay, but you know, I'm not exactly sure if he did it that night or later on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no!
But at some point, they had them do polygraph tests.
Yeah. So that same night, right? They're both freaked out, and Calvin, you know, like I told you, he's still freaking out because he's thinking about radiation, diseases, or something. So this dude gets home, and the first thing he does is go get a gallon of bleach that's by his tub, and he puts it over his head, and he just soaks into the bleach.
That is not good for the skin. That is not good for the skin.
It's definitely not. But when you're freaked out thinking you have a disease from an alien or some sort of
But
radiation,
the thing is, if you have a disease from the alien, that's on the inside.
I know, he should have.
The bleach is on the outside.
He should have done what Trump said and the injection.
Oh, yeah. He injected, you know, a couple cc's of bleach. He would have been chilling.
I sitting there chilling. No, but he's really, like, you know, that's how freaked out he was, you know?
Yeah, well, because they went inside of his body.
Yeah, definitely.
They didn't go inside of
Charlie's
body.
So, you know, he goes in there, he dumps the bleach on him, and then he takes a shower. He gets all the clothes that he wore that day, puts it in a little paper bag with the shoes, dumps that shit, you know, and then somehow finds a way to fall asleep. But even Charlie, like, even though he's one of the, like, main people who I know talk about it the most, he also had a hard time that first night. I remember, he told his wife's name is Blanche, and he told her, like, listen, I got abducted by aliens. And even the wife was like, dude, are you shitting me? You know? And at first she didn't believe him, but she said that whole night, she pretty much just had to be awake, just wiping the sweat off of him. And at some points while she'll be over there wiping the sweat off him, he would literally, like, jump out of bed, like, you know, like ready to fight somebody.
Panicked,
you know? Yeah. So that's when she knew, like, something really happened to them. So, you know, the next day, these boys go back to the daily grind, you know what I mean? They still got to make that money, you know? And I think Charlie gets a call from one of the reporting people, like one of the magazines or newspapers, and he's like, hey, I heard you got abducted by aliens. And he's like, what the fuck? And he just hangs up, right?
That's what I would have done.
Yeah. He's like, what the fuck? So, you know, he goes to work, right? Him and Charlie are at work, you know, doing their thing. And all of a sudden, their whole shipyard gets filled with reporters, people. Somehow, the information leaked that these two dudes got abducted by aliens. And it's the one thing Calvin didn't want to happen. He's like, I want nobody to know. But now everybody knows, right?
That's rude.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we had some guys that said they got abducted by aliens, and we kind of believed them.
Yeah.
And then here come the media.
Yep. And so at this point, you know, the police is now believing them. So they bring the guys back in for a real interview, you know, for like a whole report and everything. They take the guys and they take them for a checkup, you know, with the doctor. So, you know, they go in for a checkup and, you know, they find the incision marks that the aliens put on them, on their arm. And you know what? I don't remember, because I know at some point Calvin did say that when, like, he got, like, injected, that he felt like he stepped on, like, a rattlesnake or something like that. And they did say that they found some, like, incision marks on his foot, but then they're saying that it's also on his arms. But for sure they found it on Charlie's arm. So I don't know for Calvin if it was on his arm or his foot, because I couldn't, like, I would find them on both places, so I don't know. So they found the incision marks, and, you know, they checked them for implants, and they couldn't find any implants. So the only thing that was left was the radiation checkup, right? So that hospital that they went to didn't have a place for them to get checked for radiation. So they had to end up going to the base anyway. So they go to the base, they check them for radiation, and they don't have any radiation. Like, they're good. I think Charlie, I don't remember. Charlie or Calvin, one of them two, did have, like, small traces of radiation on them. But he said that he knew where it came from, because I guess before... Oh, no, it had to be Calvin. I think it was Calvin. Because he said the place he was working at before, they used, like, radiation pellets to, like, work on something. So that's probably where that small amount of radiation was from. But they did determine that it was not, like, deadly or anything like that. So he was okay. But while they were at the base, they both said that the top officials did speak to them, asking them about their experience. Even though they said they don't handle UFO stuff anymore, they still wanted to know. So, they told him. And at this point is when they take, Charlie takes a lie detector test. He passes. Calvin does not take a lie detector test because he ends up being hospitalized for a nervous breakdown 3 days before his wedding. Yeah.
Dang. This is a rough time for him.
Real rough. Like, come on.
But it kind of makes sense on why they inspected him in that way, because he was so young. Like, they probably didn't need to inspect any more older individuals.
You think they had enough old people?
Yeah, they was like, oh, we got this young guy. Let's check him out. And then they checked him out.
Thoroughly. Yeah, like, this poor dude, man, like, it was just too much, like, especially, like, I think about it in 1973, you know what I mean? They don't believe in this kind of stuff. It's rough for something like this to happen, and just being in a spot where you're just like, no one's gonna believe me, and I'm gonna have to go through this shit all by myself. And not only am I gonna have to deal with this shit all by myself, but if someone does find out, I'm gonna be ridiculed for the rest of my life over an experience that I didn't even ask for.
Yeah.
So, like, it's rough, and he's, like you said, he's young. He's got a long life to go, and that's a long time to be ridiculed and feel shame for, or even fear.
He's gonna have to move.
Yeah, because even they said that they feel like these aliens. Well, I'll get there later. But so poor Calvin has a nervous breakdown. He gets hospitalized 3 days before his wedding day. Eventually, Calvin does take a polygraph test, and he also passes. But then there's some controversy over his polygraph test. They're saying that the guy who took his test was too young and too inexperienced to actually be able to give a proper, correct reading of the polygraph test. So
why didn't they have the same people doing the test for both of them?
Maybe it was just like what they had at the moment. Like, the guy was available for Charlie when he was able to get it, but they had to wait for Calvin to get out the hospital and stuff like that. So maybe then this was the only guy that they had available. Maybe, I don't know.
I wonder what questions they asked them.
You know what? I don't know.
Did you get abducted? And they're like, yes. Were you taken from Earth?
Yes.
And they're like, yes.
Did you make this up? No. I did not make up that someone put their hand up my uvula and into my nasal cavity. No, I did not make that up. But yeah, so Calvin ends up having to take his again, and both of them end up taking polygraph tests multiple times, and they all end up passing each and every one of them. Like, they never failed the polygraph test. For Calvin, all this is too much. You know what I mean? Like, he just got married. All he wanted was to have a steady job, get married, have kids, raise them, work somewhere, and retire. Just retire like everyone else. You know what I mean? He didn't want to be abducted, But, it was too much. Like, the media kept coming. They kept asking him questions. He didn't even want to talk about it anymore. So he ended up dipping. He was gone. He was out. Like, he's like, I don't want any part of this. But Charlie, on the other hand, he was very open about it. He didn't try to hide anything from people. Like, if people asked him, he would talk about it. He never was afraid afterwards. But, he did. He was one of the most outspoken one of the two. Charlie's living his life, going out there. But Charlie keeps getting messages from these people. So here's some more visits that Charlie has. Well, 2 of them are more like messages, but he gets a real good one with... Oh, let me get there. Okay. So on January and February of 1974, he claims that he gets telepathic messages from these beings, right? So on January, he ends up getting a message by a local tree farm. And, it's pretty much says, "We mean you no harm. You are the chosen one. Your world needs help." And that's what...
The chosen one.
Yeah. Pretty much what he tells them. And then in February, I believe he gets another one. And he pretty much, similar thing. They say, "Tell people we mean you no harm. You have endured. You have been chosen. There is no need for fear. Your world needs help. We will help before it's too late. You are not prepared to understand. We will return again soon. So that's another message he gets. But on Mother's Day in 1974, his whole family has an experience. So, yeah, his whole family. So,
the next year? Dang.
Yep. So pretty much, the family went to like a family get together, and they're heading home. It's like midnight, and they're driving. His wife Blanche is there, their youngest son Curtis, his daughter Sheila, and her husband at the time is also with them. And he's driving, down, I think it was like Route 67 in Mississippi or something like that. So, they're going. And all of a sudden, Charlie looks out, looks at the rear view mirror, and he notices a light. And he starts realizing that this light is following them. So he turns over to his daughter, and he's like, "Hey, Sheila, is it just me, or does it look like that light is following us?" So, she turns, and she looks, and girl, they all start freaking out. Because for a second, that light was all the way down there. Now this bitch is like right over their car next to them, and they're seeing this spaceship right above them. The whole family. Wife is screaming, daughter is screaming, husband screaming, son is screaming, everybody's screaming. They don't know what to do. Like, this freaking spaceship is right next to their car.
Floor it.
Yeah. But it's crazy because for me, like, I'd be like, floor the bitch. But Charlie, this crazy ass motherfucker, is like, I'm gonna go out there. And the family's like, no, you ain't. So they're like grabbing onto him, telling him like, no, don't go out there, man. Don't go out. Like, obviously, he still hadn't seen fire in the sky.
They told him he was the chosen one. So he was like, they need me. I am needed out here.
They need to take me to tell me what's going on. But yeah, so, they grab onto him. It's like, no, you're not going out there. And, just as quickly as that light appeared, it disappeared.
Did they lose time?
No.
Oh.
Nope. But, he did talk about having, like, a lot of experiences. He wrote a lot of books about this topic and stuff like that. He did end up saying that he believes that they know where he is at all times. He said that after his first abduction in 1973, that he ended up finding like this like thing by his eyeball, and he doesn't know how it got there. He said that he went, to doctors to go get it tested and everything, and he didn't have it before the abduction. He had it after the abduction, but afterwards, no one knew where it came from, what it was. It wasn't cancerous.
They take it out?
No, they couldn't take it out. But they couldn't take it out. They didn't know what it was. So he believes that was a tracker they put in him. It was in his eye. Even though, at least from what I saw, he never mentioned anything about them going in his eye. But I don't know. Maybe he lost some time and we just don't know. Poor Charlie. He ended up dying on September 9th, 2011. So, R.I.P. brother. Okay. Now, let's talk about Calvin. Calvin disappears for about... Yeah, poor Calvin. He disappears for about 45 years. Like, he does not want anything to do with this. He ends up moving to a lot of places. He ends up finding jobs. But as soon as people end up figuring out who he is, he has to remove because, people want to ask him questions. And he pretty much just wants to put all this behind him, All this alien stuff, was very stressful on his marriage. And I know his family did, like, his wife and him did end up separating for a while. But, no alien can keep true love away forever, So they ended up getting back together. They're still together now. Yeah, love over aliens. I know.
Hey, I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, definitely. In around 2010, Calvin does come back, I believe he ends up suffering like a stroke or something like that, which leaves him kind of disabled. And, there's no running from him now. You know what I mean? Like,
He's stuck.
Yeah, pretty much. So now, he's pretty much ready to talk. And he does say that for a long time, he believed that these weren't aliens. He thought that they were demons. And, he was pretty much trying to, like, tell himself that because, this is, like, around, like, Bible Belt of America. You know what I mean? They don't believe in aliens. Aliens aren't real. For him, like, he knows about demons. I feel like demons are more palatable because he knows a little bit more, about their existence. So, he pretty much tries to tell himself that they were demons, that, this is why, I just gotta, I don't know. Like, that's just something that he told himself. But in 1993, he ends up missing time. In 1993, Calvin goes out fishing at Cat Island. And, he goes out fishing about 8:45 in the morning, right? And he says literally 30 minutes later, he like comes to and he looks and it is nighttime. It is no longer the AM. It is the PM. It is 11 o'clock. Yeah, 11 o'clock at night. He lost 14 hours, Kim. 14 hours! Gone. Poof. He didn't even know what happened. And
almost 2 whole shifts at work.
Yeah. And he says that when he came, he realized that he ate all his lunch. He drank all his water. And he even caught fish. And he does not remember none of it. None of it. And, he ends up going back to his car. And when he goes into his car, he finds a note on his windshield pretty much saying, like, where the fuck are you? His wife is like, where you at? I'm worried. Let me know, And even
She said,
like,
I found the car and you were not here.
You was not in it. Like, where are you, And so, obviously, he's freaking out, too. So, he ends up getting hypnotized later. And he recalls the events of the missing time. He says that he got re-abducted pretty much by the same entities, right? Taken 2. He sees the same female, right? And, same thing, they're trying to do their experiments on him again. But this time, he was not fully paralyzed like he was before. So when the lady alien comes up to him, he's like, I'm going to take this bitch out with me. Like, people don't believe me. I'm going to get her. So he grabs her by her neck. And literally, they start having like a mini battle of fisticuffs. And he says that she ends up bleeding like some black blood and stuff like that. And then those robot aliens come back and, they like stab him again. They re-inject him again with whatever they had. And it's done. And, he said, I get this female alien was mad that he attacked her, that he said that while she's trying to do something to his eyes, she's like scratching his eyes and shit like that. Like, it was just not a good time. And, same thing, then they just drop him off. And I guess at that point, that's when he realizes, like, I don't believe these were demons, because if they were demons, I wouldn't have been able to touch one. I don't think I would have been able to make one bleed. So he's like, these
fight one.
Yeah. So like, these have to be aliens. And he did say that at some point, some like priest or preacher or, some man of the Lord was trying to like have him tell people that they were demons. And he was pretty much just saying that he just saw like dollar signs in his eyes. Like, he was just trying to make money off of his suffering, which he's like, no, that's not what you do. Plus, they weren't demons. They were aliens. So, yeah. So pretty much Calvin's still out there right now telling his story. He's got books out there too. He talks about this kind of stuff, and he's still out there trying to let people know that they're out there. Yep. And that's the story of the Pascagoula alien abductions.
Yeah, that was wild. Like, why isn't there a movie about that one?
I'm telling you, I've never heard of this.
Me either.
Ever.
Like,
and
none of the details rang a bell.
Yeah, and it was just crazy. I was like, oh my god, like, this just had, and this is one of like the most well-known, well-documented alien abductions. One of the ones that they can't, say is fake or anything like that, because they have the polygraph test, they have the injections, they have the missing time, and on top of that, the day they got abducted in 1973, there were 3 witnesses who said that they saw an object in the sky in the same area that they were at.
That matched this, like, similar description to what they said?
Yeah, not only that, but also the time. Because I guess when Calvin was getting interviewed, or Charlie, I don't remember, but one of them had said that there was a full moon out that day and stuff like that. And, they got, astrologers out there trying to, track the map and see if there was really a full moon. And it's funny because you would think like, oh, full moon, that happens all the time. Apparently not. Apparently it's very rare to have a full moon in that area. So they were able to figure out that yes, on that day, October 11, 1973, there was a full moon, and that was around 10 o'clock at night. And it matches around the time frame that those people witnessed the object, and around the time that they were missing. Because even though they said that it felt like it was a long time, the whole abduction itself probably only took like 30 to 45 minutes. So like the time frame, matches. And it's funny because, like, with me, I was all like, man, like, I remember to saying, spectacles, testicles, wallet, and keys. So it's all like, where were there, spectacles?
There's stuff.
Yes.
There's
Wait,
stuff.
hold on. I don't know why I thought about it, but while I was thinking about that, I was thinking about a watch. Oh, yeah, because I think there's supposed to be a watch in one of those things. But anyway.
Girl, I don't know. I'm like, one of those things we don't have.
I know.
Why would we check for it?
Because there's supposed to be a watch in there, right? And so I'm like, where were these dudes' fucking watches at? Like, at that time, everyone fucking wore a watch. Because now we don't really need watches because we all have phones and shit like that. But back then, they all had watches. So I found out that the reason why they didn't have any watches was because when they work in the shipyard, they're like banging on like steel. And the impact from hitting the steel with the hammer pretty much fucks up. It pretty much makes the watch not usable. It doesn't do its job. It can't keep track correctly. Can't keep track of time correctly.
It's probably like shaking around the pieces.
Yeah.
Since watches have little bitty pieces and stuff.
Exactly. So that's why they didn't know what time it was, because they didn't have any watches, because like they can't use them for work anyway. So why would they need it? So that's why they didn't really have like a good time frame. But when they disappeared, when they called the sheriff department, when they saw that light at the time when they saw the full moon came out around 10 o'clock. So it just all kind of added up. So it's just one of those things where there's a lot of evidence pointing towards aliens than there is pointing towards hoax. So I don't know. What do you think?
It's believable. Like, we're both believers in the paranormal, and it checks all the boxes that that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel real bad for Calvin.
Very, like,
I definitely wouldn't want to be him, no offense.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Calvin. But I don't know. It's just, to me, it's crazy, like, how different the routes were. Like, obviously, it makes sense because Calvin honestly got the short end of the stick. But Charlie, like, he had a good time. Like, they didn't really do anything to him. They just pretty much took his nudes and they said thank you and dropped him off.
Left him alone.
And this dude, he got straight, gagged. And it was not a good time for him.
It's not funny, but I keep laughing.
I feel so bad because, like, it just sucks.
He was like, they force subbed him.
Yeah, I know. And I just feel bad for, like, I'm sorry, but the whole time I was like, in my head, I'm all like, these aliens are out here raping
sexually
people.
assaulting people.
Yes, sexually assaulting people. They are deflowering men, women, everybody.
Man, hide your kids, hide your wife.
Your husbands too, everybody. And it's just like, and they're taking pictures of them. This is just like alien, like true crime or some shit like that.
They have him in a gallery somewhere with all of their other victims.
Yeah, and I honestly hope that there's a galactical whatever, like, police system out there that's out there hunting these monsters down so they don't do this to these poor innocent
the Galactic
humans.
Federation is gonna do something.
Come on, you guys.
Stop them.
Because obviously we can't do shit. We're getting fucking stabbed with tranquilizers. Goddamn. But yeah, I don't know. This was a crazy story, and this is when I realized that this is no bueno, Kim. No bueno at all.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's rough, buddy. Like,
man. But yeah, that's that about that, Captain.
Man.
Oh man.
I'm just thinking about poor Calvin.
I know. I can understand why he was running. Like, dude, I'd be running too.
Yeah, because, like, he must have been doing a good job of, like, laying low, like, keeping a low profile because, like you said, nobody heard from him for a cool minute. But then after, like, it's weird. Maybe did the aliens lose track of him? Because,
no. Don't forget that when was it? 1993, they found him again. And that's when he lost time. But
yeah. Wait, that was during the time that he was like still hiding from people?
Yeah, when he was still hiding from people. And the only reason so he wrote a book, right? And one of the only reasons he decided to write that book was because he said he went to a friend's funeral. And when you go to the funerals, like, you put your name down, like, on the book and shit like that. And I guess people started realizing, they noticed his name. So in the middle of the funeral, Kim, these people are asking him like, "Hey, are you that dude that got abducted by aliens?"
I would have said no. I would have
Yeah.
lied. Because his name was pretty common. It's a pretty regular name.
Yeah, Calvin Parker. I don't know. I haven't met a lot of
Yeah.
Calvin Parkers in my days, but I
Well,
don't
not
know.
Parker, but like Calvin's a pretty regular name.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons he's like, I want people to stop asking me these same questions. So he wrote a book, and
Dang, what's the name of his book?
I think the Pascagoula
Incident.
some
That's what I
shit like
name
that.
it. Might as well. It is what it is. It
The
was
day I
an
got raped in
incident.
Pascagoula. Oh, fun fact. You know what Pascagoula means? Pascagoula. Pascagoula is a Native American term for eater of bread.
That's me.
Me too. You know what the funny thing is when I was doing when I first found this story, I was eating some bread and some coffee, and that's when I was like, this is it. This is the story I'm supposed to tell.
I'm adding that to the mental tattoo list that we're gonna get. Well, because didn't we talk about getting like a bread slice?
Oh yeah.
We should just have Pascagoula across the top. So it's like dual meaning because it goes to, our love for the paranormal, but also our love for bread.
I know.
It's a dual meaning tattoo.
That's cute.
We have like a little happy little cartoon bread slice with like a smiley face and then like rainbow across the top, Pascagoula.
What if we have a little like spaceship made out of bread?
I guess it depends on how somebody draws it.
That's true.
Because that would be really cool if you could definitely be like, oh, that's bread.
Bread, yeah, I know.
But I don't want people to be like, what is that?
It could be like what is it called?
A brown
baguette.
UFO?
A baguette. What is that? What is that bread called?
I think that's what it is. Those, the French bread.
Yeah. And then we just put like a little, like a concha on top of it so it could be like the little dome. It's called Pascagoula, The Closest Encounter, My Story by Calvin Parker.
How many pages is it?
Oh, there's also one called The Same Thing, but I think that's like
someone else.
The Charlie Hickson one.
Oh, his part of the story.
Yeah, and I think plus it has like all the times like he got encountered and shit like that.
The updates.
412 pages.
Oh, that's a lot. I don't know, in my mind I was like 1, 2.
No, I think it has like everything in there, like the reports, articles, like all all the meat and shit like that. Not my crappy rendition of it,
All right, so I was shuffling the oracle cards. So today we got number 5.
A.
Becoming braver, resilience, experience, growing stronger, fresh perspective. You have been tested. The development of strength and resilience through the courageous meeting of challenges, the demonstration of great character, the acknowledgement of how much you have learned, the ability to cope with so many little things due to a great ordeal endured with grace, dignity, and humor. Testing time show true character.
Oh, that's so nice. But can I stop being tested?
You're like, dang, did I pass yet? Man. That was funny because I saw on Instagram, on the Reels, somebody had posted a clip where it was like, oh, me finding this girl and really falling for her. And then it was like, God having her break my heart for character development. I was like, oh no. Poor thing.
Sucks. Oh gosh.
Have you seen Sorry to Bother You?
No, I really want to watch it.
You gotta watch it because, okay, first of all, it already looked interesting from the trailer, but the third act.
The third act
is that last third of the movie is wide. You're just like, like I was watching, I was like, what is going on here? You have to watch it. It's so good. But that movie, a big part of it is the code switching. Yeah. And like having a white voice on the phone and stuff, Yeah. And that part is already like big commentary. And then the end just, it flew off to space and just kept going.
Wow.
You definitely got to watch it. Since you said you got a little time right now, watch Sorry to Bother You.
Was it on Netflix, Hulu?
It's still on Hulu.
Okay. I'll probably check that out.
Yeah, definitely watch it. Message me when you get to the end of that movie.
I will.
Cause
Oh my god.
I almost wish I could see your face when you're watching it. The end part, like your reaction, because when I was watching it, I was just like, and it's like when realization hits you, what happens, like what's happening, you're like speechless.
Like there is no code for this. There's just silence.
Like every person that I've known that's seen that movie, just like, man, and I'm like, I know, right?
Oh my god, you know what movie I want to watch, but I think I'm too afraid to watch right now? Mm-hmm. Have you seen the trailer for Horse Girl? Mm-mm. Girl, go on Netflix and watch, just because you know how when you scroll over it automatically shows you the trailer if you didn't turn it off? Mm-hmm. Scroll over that bitch and just watch it.
Does she turn into one? Or
I have no idea, but listen, so usually at night, Horse Girl, I have, because she really likes horses. Okay, so at night, Carlos and I like to put something on, like, you know, while we sleep, right? And, you know, I was a little inebriated, you know what I mean? So I was scrolling trying to find something to watch, and all of a sudden I saw Horse Girl. I'm like, what is this? So, you know, I go over it, because, you know, in my head I'm thinking like, you know, Jack, what is that cartoon called? Jack Horseman or Jack?
Oh, the BoJack Horseman.
Yeah, that shit. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if this is like something like that. So, you know, I scroll over it. No, it was not. First of all, I was inebriated, and that shit scared the shit out of me. Like, my word, just the trailer flipped my life upside down.
I looked up the trailer on YouTube, and the top comment said, I thought it was going to be about a crazy horse girl that falls in love with a horse. So it's not that. Okay. No. When we finish, I'm gonna watch this.
Oh man.
The second one says, if she doesn't transform into a horse, I will write. Now I'm intrigued. I gotta watch this.
It's just crazy. It's just like, oh my god, it's just crazy. Girl, I was just like tripping.
Okay, I'm gonna stop reading the comments.
Yeah, just watch the trailer.
So that I can, watch the movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's the same as the Netflix one, but I'm just telling you, it's like,
well, yeah, it said Netflix.
Okay. But
the trailer says Netflix.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, it's trippy, like it you know, but yeah, I don't know. Oh, I don't know why this just reminded me of it, but it's funny. So when I was doing research on this topic, I guess there was like a news anchor that like followed this topic, right? Tell me why there's a song about this alien abduction, a country song that says exactly what happened. It's so good. Like, hold on, let me see. No, I can't find it, because I tried finding the song, because I was trying to see if we can, like, you know, put it on here, but, you know, like, I don't want to get any strikes or anything like that. Let me put it on YouTube.
On YouTube.
Yeah, but it's so good. Like, I was just like, who came up with this song? It's so good. It's so good. But yeah. All right, then. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. You know, as per usual, you guys want us to cover anything, found anything interesting, feel free to message us on Item 9 Podcast Instagram, send us an email. We're on YouTube now, so if you guys want to check us out on YouTube, feel free, leave comments, you know, we'll read them. And we hope to see you guys next Friday. This is Hyra.
And Kim.
And don't you ever forget, you're the fucking bee's knees.
Item 9.
See y'all next week. Toodles.
Bye.